Nowadays, it's common to purchase different products online and just have them conveniently delivered to your home. Once you receive them, you simply test out the products and check if they are meeting your expectations. If they are, then that's great. But if they don't, you typically have the option to have them replaced or returned. But what about products that you cannot test right away as soon as you get them, such as an Android car stereo? Because of its special wiring harness that's specifically designed to connect to the unique wiring inside your car, you just can't plug this into any convenience outlet like a microwave or a receptacle like a light bulb. And from my experience, it actually takes a lot of time, effort, and sometimes more money to perform a car stereo installation. To make matters worse, some sellers give you just a few days to test out the product. And if you don't meet the deadline, it becomes very difficult to request a return or replacement. So in this video, I'm going to show you how to do a quick Android car player test without installing the Android head unit into your car yet. I bought this Gearelec car Android system online for about 2,600 pesos or $46. And these are what's included out of the box. I know, I was also overwhelmed with what I had to unpack. So let me give you a quick rundown of each item. We have a 7-inch 2-DIN touchscreen car radio head unit. This runs on Android version 10 with 2GB of RAM and 32GB of ROM. This can connect via Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. Then we have this car Android player's operating manual, a pair of mounting brackets and screws, a 16-pin wiring harness for power, a 20-pin RCA cable harness for connecting to your car's speaker system, and even other video devices like a TV box, a 10-pin video signal cable for the rear or reverse camera, a GPS antenna for location services, 2 USB cables for charging or powering your other devices and even doing file transfers, and the reverse camera itself along with its power cables. Now, at the back of the head unit is where all the magic comes together. This is where we connect the GPS antenna, and this is for the radio antenna. These ports are for all the video, audio, and USB cables. We also have a 10 ampere fuse here, and above it is the port for the power cable harness. Okay, all this talk about features, specs, and cables means nothing if we can't even power on and test the device, right? So how are we supposed to do that without installing it in a car? By connecting the proper wires to a 12-volt battery. It says so right here on the operating manual, and here are the exact steps. Because this car Android stereo operates on 12 volts, the first step is to get a 12-volt battery. Good thing I have a small 12-volt motorcycle battery which I connect our DC electric fans to whenever we have power outages. But if you don't have one lying around, you can always pull the battery out of your car and use that. Another option is to connect 8 AA batteries in a series. Since each battery is 1.5 volts, DC chaining them together will add up to 12 volts. Now that we have the power supply sorted, the next step is to connect the power cable harness to the proper port at the back of the head unit. And don't worry, there's only one way to snap in the connector because of its unique size and shape. The next step is figuring out which wires to connect on which terminals of the battery. And this is crucial because we don't want to reverse the polarity and cause damage to our device. So, to be sure, we refer to the car stereo wiring diagram on the operating manual. Find the black wire labeled GND for ground. This wire you connect to the negative terminal of the battery. Then, find the yellow wire labeled B+ for battery positive and connect that to the positive terminal of the battery. Okay, by design, an Android radio or any other car stereo will not power on unless the ignition switch is in the ACC or accessory position. This position allows you to use your radio, windshield wipers, and other accessories while the engine is off. So, we need to trick this Android radio to think it's connected to a car's ignition switch that's turned to the ACC position. To do that, find the red wire labeled ACC for accessory and also connect that to the positive terminal of the battery along with the yellow wire you just did. And with all three wires connected to the right terminals, all we need to do is tap the power button on the touchscreen. If the display lights up like so, this is our first good sign. At this point, I haven't completed reading the entire operating manual, so I'm not familiar with all the things this device can do, and I cannot test what I don't know yet. However, I can test basic stuff, such as the responsiveness of the touchscreen, or invoking the FM radio app, which I expect won't have any reception because the radio antenna isn't plugged in. It's in the car. This is the navigation settings where you can select your default navigation app. My personal preference, by the way, is Waze. Oh, and I think the mixing ratio is for adjusting how loud you want the navigation voice or sound to be while you're in the middle of playing music. I can test the volume controls, but as expected, won't have any sound because this isn't hooked to a speaker yet. Okay, after a few minutes of doing very basic testing, I'm satisfied enough to move to the next step, which is installing this entire system in my car. However, since that process is complicated and time-consuming, I will share that entire experience in another video. So please make sure you're subscribed to this channel if you haven't yet. At least for now, this quick and easy test has confirmed that my purchased product works, and I'm relieved of the pressure of whether to return this to the seller. Obviously, I'm keeping this.